Yo, still bills. What's the dizzle, man? Peep game. JoJo, say hi to the camera. Say what's up. I guess so. Okay, what's up, baby? But yo, we gotta First off, I'm gonna do 2 videos. Salute to Gervonta Davis on winning that fight. He proved me wrong in the sense of I haven't watched the fight. I just seen highlights of it. But I thought he was gonna get hurt because his last outing at 135 was so grueling. Even though he got the stoppage, it took him 12 to get a dude who was on his last leg about to paint. He didn't look his best. And from what my bro told me, he was losing that fight before it got the stoppage. Nonetheless, he got the stoppage, so salute to him on that. But it's not. I've been deemed a Gervonta Davis hater. I'm not a hater, dude. I'm not a fan of him neither. I don't like how he's being managed, man. At the end of the day, it's your career. What Floyd and Leonard are trying to do is, get this man the biggest bag possible, which is, all right, cool if that's where you want to be, but you put your life on the line, you dig? Do you not want your legacy to stay intact as well? That's my biggest takeaway from the whole thing. So it's not so much him. It's actually not him at all. It's just how how he's being moved and spoon-fed and everything, and these narratives that people come up with. I got into it with a dude today on Facebook trying to tell me that he's a 3-division world champion, and I'm like, no, he's not. You dig? He's not. This dude has all the talent in the world, but one thing niggas do, it's true in society, black people have to work 10 times harder. That's a fact. But then within this particular space, when it comes to athletics, I don't necessarily think that's the case, because every field we participate in, we dominate. We dominate. So in boxing, I don't think you have to work 10. It's not necessarily about you working 10 times harder in sports, just because football, basketball, boxing, track, we're pretty dominant in those fields. So it's not necessarily about having to work 10 times harder to be, just as recognized as everybody else. I think it's not necessarily the polar opposite of that, but I think it's a little bit more even playing field as far as on a surface level. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you look at Lomachenko, as great as I think Lomachenko is, he was slightly gassed in the sense of him being compared to Muhammad Ali and all that. So, I get that. I get it from that paradigm. My real life dude. I do. I can't think of a black fighter who was compared to a Muhammad Ali as great as he is. I can't think of one. So in that instance, you do have this case where it's like, same with, in hip hop, you dig? Until Eminem, we wasn't used to seeing no white boys come out and be, elite level lyricists like that. And then here he comes, and now he does get, he's in my top 5 personally, but he does get put on like the GOAT status because of, him being in that, just being cut from that cloth. Pun was another one, man. He was, Latinos who was rapping was Kid Frost. Like, niggas never really took him as a heavy hitter for amongst black society. No, Pun was the one who really came on and put on for the Latinos. So in certain spaces, non-black people do get to a point where it's like, they could get a little bit gassed because it's so like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very alien for them to come into these spaces and be just as successful as the people who are usually dominating this space. And it's the same with boxing. You dig what I'm saying? So I seen a stat. Somebody was saying, why is it that Josh Taylor and Alexander Usyk, and they put somebody else, why are they getting you know, why they getting all this love and Tank being a 3-division world champion and getting this love and all that bullshit. I'm like, he's not a 3-division world champion. And this dude was really trying to argue with me that he was a 3-division world champion because he has an interim belt. And I'm like, no, Josh Taylor has all of the titles at 140 pounds. And this is where the shit gets, you know, the propaganda and shit like that really get to, it's aggravating. Because I'm just not finding out, with, you know, even with Triple G. All those title defenses, he didn't have the real title. He had a regular, you know, this is why we got to get rid of all these belts in the sport. He had a regular belt. So now Gervonta Davis is being perceived as a 3-division world champion, even though he didn't fight for a title with any sort of meaning to it. Instead of going up and fighting, not going up, but instead of fighting for a unification bout in one of his own, you know, between 30 and 35, he went up and got, you know, caught a meaningless title against a bigger, more, you know, lesser skilled foe. You dig? It's how he's being moved and manufactured that bothers me. You dig? Him and Wilder are somewhat similar. The difference is he actually has the skill to compete with the top dogs in his division. And when you speak out against that, you're deemed a hater. I bet you, man, you know, you trying to please these white folks talking about fair. I'm like, my nigga, like, so being it just gets to a point, like, it's really becoming comical with a lot of you cats, where it's not about being fair. Now we just, you know, oh man, we being biased. Like, no, I'm calling it down the middle, G. I'm calling it down the middle. Calling it down the middle. You dig? I'm for my people, but I'm calling it down the middle. You got to, otherwise you're gonna play yourself. I'm like, why is it that boxing is the only sport where being black is enough? Black excellence is just simply being black and knowing how to fight. Fuck the accolades. And if you draw, it's getting to a point where if you draw a comparison between a black fighter and another non-black fighter, you're a racist. You dudes is a trip. So it's not Gervonta Davis that I hate. I don't hate Gervonta Davis. I'm not the biggest fan of him neither. I'm a bigger fan of his than I am of a lot of other, you know, the Charlos and all of them. I am. I think I like his style of fighting better. I think he's a lot more polished than the other two, than a lot of the other cats on the PBC. It's just the PBC they do a lot of funny shit. They do a lot of funny shit on that side of the street, and they don't get called for it because it's predominantly black. And it's just, it's bothersome that a lot of you Negroes are willing to just concede to that because they black, that it's cool to just do fuck shit. It's okay to be to just do fuck shit. Just because you're black. Black with a regular belt. I don't like that. I don't like that, man. I don't like that at all. The minute you get to spewing truths, you become like, you a coon, you a hater, you're a multitude of things other than a truth teller. And I just think that shit is whack. Tank is an exceptional talent, man. The kid is dope, but he allows his career to be, you know, finagled in a way where it's detrimental to his legacy. It's not about the promoters, man. Floyd had his time. Floyd had his time, man. Sit back and let him become just as great as you are. Y'all have manufactured him enough. He's one of the few pay-per-view attractions in the sport. You got Earl, you got Canelo, you got Joshua over there, and you got now you got him. He's not even amongst the top. He's not even amongst, you know, anybody with a common knowledge of the sports pound for pound list, but he's still a pay-per-view attraction. Y'all have done enough. Let this man go out and get, you know what I'm saying, forge his legacy. You dig? So that's what that is, man. It's not about being a Tank hater. It's not. It's not. I need niggas to really get off of that bullshit where, you know, this is some sort of codification. If you know if you're not calling other niggas out on their bullshit, you just letting nigga, you know, oh no, it's cool, he black, he one of us, so we ain't gotta call out the fuckery, you know, he get a pass. Like, no, bro, no. That's, you know, everything we up against. That's bigger reason for him to, you know, for you to push forward on him and force a level of greatness out of him, man. Niggas need to really stop with the dumb shit. They said I was trying to appease white folks or some shit like that. I'm like, no. And when I said, I'm like, do you know what an interim, do you know the difference between an interim belt and a super belt, you know, the super title is? Do you? And how long have you been watching the sport? Which that shouldn't be, it shouldn't have to be a knock, man. But the thing is, these people find themselves into these spaces and they think that they're knowledgeable enough to speak on certain shit, and you can slap the, you know, the race issue over somebody's head. And majority of the time, everybody isn't going to be, you know, they're not equipped to be able to deal with that. I'm not one of them niggas. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not. You can't pull that over. You can't pull that wool over my eyes and not expect me to respond, because I know what I'm talking about. It is what it is, man. The dude is a great fighter, man. He's a good fighter. I don't know about great. Talent-wise, you see it there. But to achieve greatness, you gotta, to be deemed great, you gotta achieve it. And he hasn't done that yet, and that's cool. He's still young, but the thing is, let's get to a point. Canelo's 3 years older than him, and Canelo has achieved greatness. Terrence, Bud, you dig? He's a former undisputed champion. That's a 3-division world champion. So it's not about hating Gervonta Davis. I don't hate the kid, but logic has to be interjected into the discussion. Logic, you dig? Not a bias just because that's your people. Which, I mean, even within biasness, you can say, yo, man, I'm rolling with hometown because this and that and the third and yada yada yada. But you can still, you know, you can still interject a sort of objectiveness into the scenario. You can be biased towards your people and still be objective to whatever it is you're looking at. With Tank, you dig, the same thing. You dig, you can have your biases, but be objective to, you know, be objective toward a fight. These dudes a lot of these cats are, you know, they fanboy. Damn, took my spot. Oh no, he didn't. They fanboy to a certain point where it's unhealthy. They get, you know, you fanboy enough, you fanboy, then you get to a point where it's like, you know, the only thing you have to hold on to is the fact that he won. All right, cool, he did win, but I'm gonna look into the fight. If he got hurt in the fight, what are you gonna say then? If he got hurt, I don't, you know, if he got hurt, if he was getting beat at any point in that fight to a Mario Barrios, I don't know what would convince y'all that he's ready for Josh Taylor in his division. You dig? Have your bias or whatever, man, but still be knowing to be objective to a situation. That's my big thing. Stop fanboying and dick riding, man. Peace.